It has been 2 years since I started The Artist Way. And no, this is not going to be a 2 years update after completing it. I'm still on week 11. This video is kind of all over the place, but it's more so for me, but also to share my experience with this book and maybe help somebody decide whether or not it's worth doing it for you. It has been 2 years since I started The Artist Way. And no, this is not going to be a 2 years update after completing it. I'm still on week 11. It is slightly more weeks than 11 in 2 years, but when I started it, I was in such a different place in my life. I was in a cis hetero relationship that was going really south at a time, and I thought that I would have career as a painter or something in that way, and I did not know. I actually didn't know what I wanted, and I started The Artist Way because I kept seeing a lot of hype about it online, honestly, and decided why not try something new and interesting. And so I got myself the workbook and the book, and first week was really revelational. It was also around the same time when the Barbie movie came out. I put notes on the first week of The Artist Way that my partner, who I was with at the time, was just a Ken in a way. And I was jealous of him because of it. He had this very simple, perfect friend group. He was happy with what he was doing, and he had his friends since childhood, and he felt like he had his purpose in life, and I didn't. Or at least I didn't feel that my purpose in life was at that place with those people, but I didn't know where to go from there. And with The Artist's Way, I started writing it out, and in the week 1, I think, there is an exercise about 5 alternative lives. Basically, you have to erase any preconceived ideas about what your life, what your career should be, and write out 5 different lives that you would live. And for one of them I wrote that I would be a drag artist and I would have my own show called Poisonous Playmates, because Poisonous Playmates was one of the concepts in the book. As you could see, I became a drag artist. My other alternative lives were like figure skater, musician, pop star. My artistic mess in the back. No, let's not do this. And the thing is, when I wrote that I want to be a drag artist in one of my alternative lives, I didn't even notice how I became the drag artist afterwards. It all happened kind of so quickly and so unintentionally in a way that I didn't see the connection. Everything was happening so fast that relationship ended, friendships ended, new friendships started growing, and I stopped doing The Artist Way. I think I did 1.5 or 2 weeks of it before totally forgetting about it, and then I sometimes try to go back to it, but I would always start with week 1 and starting redoing the morning pages and keep stopping it and not doing it. But I moved until like the week 4 or 5, I think, over the 1.5 years, and kind of recently, I think in May of 2025, I went back to it, and this time I think I was ready to get into it in a different way. This time I stuck to it, but yet I'm not going at a speed that it's supposed to be going at. I skipped over the week 7 or 8 because the concepts were too familiar, but now I'm stuck on the week 11. Concepts are too familiar, but I just cannot make myself write about them. I just have nothing to say, or I'm not wanting to say what I'm thinking deeply inside. So there's a lot to process with this book. I think this book is really heavy with religious terms and stuff. And even though the book emphasizes that instead of God, you could read it as wherever you want to, like a higher power, universe, your spirit, or anything like that, but it still uses the word God and it capitalizes it. And as a pagan, as somebody who's a queer person and who struggles with religion a lot, it sometimes is pretty hard to read it and not pay attention to that. And for the past 2-ish months, while doing the artist way, I was also simultaneously in therapy, but I've been in therapy for longer. And actually, the things in artist way and in therapy are very similar, but I know that different people, different therapists would have different approach based on your request. And maybe this book worked for me now because it was exactly pointing to the things that I was going through at that moment in my life. So it was also the same topics in therapy that I had that were highlighted in the book. Another thing with the artist way, that it actually might be not the right tool for people who are already in creative fields, but it could be a useful tool if you would let go of it in a way. Let me explain it. It describes two simple of a concepts for people who already do creative things. I started it. I was already an architect and a painter and a social media person, which all of those are creative things. And the book has a lot of examples of it, like the banker who started dancing salsa, the doctor who started crocheting, I don't know. And those examples are of people with jobs that are perceived as non-creative starting to do something creative. But when you are already in a field that's perceived as creative, the artist way might not be the resource that you need. When you are already in a field that's creative, you would struggle not with starting, but struggle with understanding what you do for yourself, what you do for the audience, with understanding where your work ends and where your life and your fun begins, because your work is fun and you're blessed to do something that is fun, but then new challenges come with that. And the artist's way does not even begin to discover any of those topics, at least not in the 11 chapters out of 12. But it repeats concepts, and I don't think it's gonna bring up a new concept in a chapter 12. Where were we? Don't quote me on that, but I like how the universe revolves around me. And I don't mean everybody's universe, I mean my personal universe. When I go through things and when I have questions, I almost immediately always meet the people who have some type of answer or direction for me, or just some interesting insight to look at. And few days after restarting the artist way this most recent time, I ran into this problem of, yeah, that's not applicable to people who are already artistic, because it asks things as, what would you do? List 10 things that you don't allow yourself to do. I let myself do everything. I love myself, I let myself experiment, I let myself live through things and do stuff. And it was so freaking hard to list 10 things, because there isn't 10 things that I haven't tried that I want to try. I'm 24 years old and I lived like 1,000 lives. I've tried so many fun things, and there isn't a situation where I'm not letting myself do something. It's just some things that I want really big and really take time to get. And I was contemplating, like, should I even continue with this book, because it's so not what I'm going through. And as I was thinking that, I randomly met this new person in my life who was at that time on week 12. I shared my feelings with them about the book, and they said that yes, of course it's not written for us, but you just need to like chill and only take from it what applies to you, and only do it on a level that you intuitively feel like suits you. And that's so obvious, but I needed to hear it from another artist. I needed to hear it from another person who is going through the same thing as me. And that really helped me to really get something out of the book. That perspective that the person told me helped me to stick to doing the book and to take things from it that I personally need. I'm very excited to be done with it. But I'm stuck on week 11. I just feel like there is something that I'm not telling myself, and I'm trying to figure out what. I started writing poetry again, and I don't know what that has to do with, either with some other things in my life that are happening, or maybe with the fact that I write almost every day. But the way about adapting things to yourself, I don't do morning pages in the morning. I wake up every day before 6 a.m. because my human job starts at 7 a.m. So it's unrealistic for me to wake up even earlier to do the morning pages. I do them after work because after work I'm switching from my first work mode to my drag work mode. I sometimes do them before going to bed to like unload all of the thing that I came up with during the day. So yeah, I'm doing it the way that it works for me, and also not doing it every day necessarily, but aiming for like 4 to 5 days a week. Because also with my schedule, it's working very early shifts on my job, but then working in nightlife, so it's a lot of taking naps and sleeping on trains and stuff like that. I also don't drink caffeine, so I don't know how this is happening, but yeah. So this was Xeni Slay's Artist Way for you, and hopefully I will do another check-in when I am finally done with this book. And I'm gonna share some fucked up personal story as well, but that has to wait until the book is done.